conversation officially yet. Or unofficially, kind of thing. He's a coach by training.
I wanted to say something about like it's great to have a great design number visible. It's the only distinguishing feature you have unless you discover a red headband or something. For the casual observer.
Yeah.
Like I mean, common
It's the problem that they have is that they've got light on one side, but like they've got a stripe in the middle, so they can't even do like a black outline because the black outline wouldn't stand out.
It should be a white outline or something. They've got a yellow outline. It's already yellow on the and it fits when it becomes.
I think those quite, I don't know if that was sacred, but
That seems to make sense. That's really difficult, isn't it? So you've got 2 4.5, so 9.5, you've got 3 1.5, so 2 1.5, so 2. Wow. See, all this poor knowledge I've forgotten.
well, they'll get called out if they win.
And the school try to watch us for that, the rest of them.
The sport taker watches for it. It's only on the
Okay, then the RC is the they get the reduction.
junior.
But that indicates that right. So RC means that they get 1 point based. Age. Remember I read all the rules last year. Age was
The Red Cross Steelers and the Perth Wheelcats in round 5 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League. We're going to announce the team first. Start off with our visiting team, the Perth Wheelcats. Number 1, Joel Swadley. Number 2, Frank Winter. Number 6, Lucas Lane. Number 7, Natapon Tomstris. Number 8, Simon Curry. Number 12, Jordan Briggs. Number 13, Thomas McHugh. Number 14, Jake Cavanaugh. Number 18, Cyril Evans. Number 25, Ben Audrey. Coach Jen Andrew, assistant coach Jim Fran, and manager Donna Hyman. Give them a big round of applause, everyone. And for our home team, Red Dust Steelers, we have number 1, Rudy Ross. Number 2, Jeremy Single. Number 4, Mitchell Wiles. Number 5, Lachlan Nelson. Number 7, Kate Downey. Number 8, Phil Turner. Number 9, Brian Roach. Number 16, Andrew Small. Number 29, Rudy Garces. Number 43, Julie Butcher. Coach, Brad Ness, assistant
Good evening. We've just got through the lovely version of the National Anthem. We're here tonight for round 5 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League at the Corio Leisure Time Sports Facility, just an hour east of Melbourne on the way to Geelong. My name's Brendan Parnell. I'm joined by Campbell Fraser here tonight. And Campbell, it's a huge weekend for both teams with so many teams in contention for those bottom 2 places in the semi-finals, and these are 2 of the contenders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important game, especially for the Healers here. I think they've got a lot to prove here. They've had a couple interesting games, especially on the start of their season versus the Wheelcats, who have looked pretty strong throughout their season. Obviously, they haven't had their bye week yet, but they've looked very strong all the way through so far.
Yeah, you mentioned the bye week. For the uninitiated, there's 7 teams in the National Wheelchair Basketball League for men. They would all play 3 games on a weekend, but by dint of there being 3 games between the teams each weekend, one team would have the bye round. A total of 18 games by the time we get to the decision-making for the finals. And you mentioned the Red Dust Healers. They would be disappointed. These 2 teams played earlier this morning, a 56-46 loss. Crucial game for the Wheelcats. That pushes them up to 8 wins and 5 losses in the standings, above the Healers, who are sitting now at 6-4.
Yeah, and it was a really tough game, especially on the side of the Healers. They really didn't get their scoring through their usual players. Normally, you'd be looking at Sabri Bedzetti and Mitchell Bond to be the high scorers, but Kane Downey actually showing up a bit and proving that they do have a bit of depth in their team. We know that the Healers. They have a lot of shooting threats through their team versus the Wheelcats, who really rely on a couple players who are very, very consistent. Credit to them. But if they can lock down those couple players, they might look a little bit stronger on the side of the Healers. But it's really something that they could bring up. They could match up to. I don't see why they couldn't bring something a bit more to this game. Definitely 10 points is not a deficit that's out of their reach.
Yeah, 10 points. You mentioned they shot what won't be a satisfactory for head coach Brad Ness anyway, 33% from the field. And they were in some foul trouble. Benzetti, as you mentioned, had 3 fouls at half-time, limiting some of their potential rotations. But certainly from a defensive standpoint, they'll look at the 56 points they conceded and say, well, that's something to work from. And it would almost be essential for them, given how fluid the situation with finals is, that they win tonight and then potentially tomorrow in the 3rd game of the weekend series.
Yeah, and interesting that you mentioned the score that the Wheelcats got up to. One of the things that the Healers are very good at and have been consistent throughout their season is keeping the score low in the game. Regardless of whether they win or lose, both teams are controlled in their shooting, and they play very strong defense to not get that score kind of ramped up and away from them, so that even when they do lose by 10 points, 10 points is not a lot. That's certainly something that they can bring back in, but it shows their strength on defense, which will be a crucial thing against the Wheelcats. We know that they have a very strong offense, again with 2 very big players, and that will be the key to what I think is quite a possible win for the Healers tonight. Will just be controlling that defense.
Okay, so that's your.
That's my bet.
Prediction?
That's my guess. I think it could go either way. Obviously, we saw it this morning, but I think the Healers have it in them, and I think the Wheelcats, they rely a little bit too much on those 2 players, and I'd like to see the other players come through a bit more. We know that Jake Kavanagh in other games has been a very high scorer, a very strong scorer, so I'd like to see them rely a bit more on him.
Right, now officials are out on the floor. The head official, Kenji McFarlane, with the ball in the centre square. He's joined by Seth McCubbin and his dad, Warren McCubbin, on the far side near the score table. The Red Dust Healers are on the floor wearing their fantastic black, orange and yellow. I think there's a little bit of purple in there as well, strip. And their starting lineup is number 2, Jeremy Tyndall, number 4, Mitchell Bond, 7 is Kane Downey, number 9, Ryan Morich, and the star of the team, Italian star Sabri Benzetti, and number 29. For the Wheelcats, they're in their familiar red strip, and they're starting Simon Corrich in 8, Jordan Moritz in 12. Thomas McHugh, the familiar figure, jumping in 13 at the jump ball. And Jake Kavanagh 14 and Phil Evans in 18. Although I think there's been a change there. I can see Ben Moncrief with his pink hair at the back. He's definitely starting. He's in 25 for the Wheelcats. As the tip is away and the Healers have the first possession. Benzetti pushes the ball along. First shot is up. And it's Phil Evans with the defensive board as McHugh pushes forward for the Wheelcats. He uses a couple of sliding screens. Probing inside, back to Moncrief, across to Evans. Back to Moncrief, shot clock down to single figures. Moncrief launches. That's off. Benzetti the rebound. He's looking to push.
And that's exactly the defense that I wanted to see come out of the Healers. That strong lockdown, force the outside shot.
Benzetti with a beautiful no-look pass there. Gets our scoring underway, and it's Ryan Morich with that layup.
And that's what the Healers will rely on, that fast pace. They don't really want to play a set offense. They know they've got speed on the Wheelcats.
As Moncrief probes down the left-hand side of the keys, cut off. Reclines back in his chair, but the jumper's off, and he fouls Benzetti, who was on transition.
And Benzetti, a very veteran player coming out of Italy, obviously. Making sure that foul was pretty obvious. Not necessarily making too much of it, but making it very clear and setting the pace for this game.
As the Red Dust Healers inbound, it's Benzetti in his familiar role at the point. Kicks it across to the wing. Mitchell Bond. He looks, manages to get a pass up over the long arms of McHugh. Offensive rebound there to Kane Downey. His shot's deflected out of bounds.
That's what I mean by the Healers will struggle a little bit with that set offense, just with the height coming out of Tom McHugh and Ben Moncrief. They're just they're demons inside the paint.
Benzetti thought he saw a lane down the keyway there. Gets the nice friendly bounce to push their margin out to 4. Early stages, just a couple of minutes gone in this round 5 encounter of Wheelchair Basketball Australia's National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation. Deflection there. And the referees, consultation. Both teams enthusiastically claiming it's theirs. But referee McFarlane has now decided that the ball's going back to the Red Dust Healers.
And you can hear the Healers clearly have the home court advantage with the crowd.
So Ryan Morich brings it up down the right-hand side of the floor. Kicks inside. Benzetti, fantastic cut. Manoeuvres his body up out of the chair for another layup.
And that's the kind of experience that you get with an international player. That lean and being able to shoot on one wheel, it's a very hard skill to learn.
The Wheelcats to inbound. Moncrief takes that inbound pass. Kicks ahead to McHugh. He wheels around. Beautiful pass to a cutting Evans. He just lost his balance in his chair there, unable to convert the layup. The Healers are off and running again. Mitchell Bond wheels around, cut off. Back to Benzetti. Benzetti finds Morich inside. He can't get it to go. Moncrief off and rolling for the Wheelcats. Sees a lane. Benzetti, the slightest of contact. Down goes Moncrief, and he will go to the free throw line.
I think Morich thought he was pretty clean on that. That's a very hard line to run, that defense alongside a shooting player. It's a very hard call to make, but referee's pretty confident in their decision.
Ben Moncrief, by the look of things, has had to duck off for some running repairs. Jake Kavanagh, as the substitute, will shoot the consequent free throws that Moncrief had earned after being fouled. First a little short. Wheelcats still to get their scoring underway. Kavanagh's good with the second. 6-1 early stages, first quarter. Round 5 action from the Corio Leisure Time Sports. East of Melbourne. No look pass there. Bezzetti. A couple of very timely pump fakes. Makes another banker.
And this is much more of what you'd expect him to look like in this game. Looking very strong, very energetic.
Plenty of backcourt pressure off those mates too. Wheelcats having to chew up a considerable portion of their 24-second allocation of the shot clock just to get into some sort of offense. As the three is up and in, Kavanagh.
And just as I might have predicted, the Wheelcats relying a bit on Jake Kavanagh to get a few scores in. And at least get them rolling a little bit, get their energy going.
Just a stoppage here from the officials. Potentially looking at a substitute. They've decided they're just going to allow the healers to inbound the ball in the front court. In it goes, Bezzetti. Screeners, potential screeners roll away. Right hand hook pass. Bond's shot is short, but the long rebound out to Morich. He looks inside, Bezzetti. The basket was good, but referee McFarlane had the 3-second call before that shot was released, and the basket won't count. Kavanagh with the ball for the Wheelcats. Kicks across, gets it back. Uses a screen from Spillane. Shots off. Bezzetti the rebound. Pushes. Eyes probing around the floor. Fantastic no-look pass again. Jeremy Tyndall. Bezzetti looked at him a couple of times and then consciously looked away. Tyndall continued his cut and the ball arrived in his hands. Spillane using screens, kicks it back, ball comes back to McHugh. Fantastic 360 pivot there. Back to Spillane. He uses the screen of Corrich, shots off. Foul detected inside. Jake Kavanagh, the offensive board. Series of fakes.
Again, the suffocating defense on the side of the Healers, just forcing those outside shots. I mean, Kane Downey was sitting in the corner defending two players, essentially, forcing them to look for an outside shot, rather. It's just unfortunate that it led to the foul inside.
Jake Kavanagh's first attempt is good. Cuts the margin to 5. We're just past the midpoint of the first quarter. Second one's long. Cooper Spillane swoops in for the rebound. Kicks out to Phil Evans. He uses his left hand. Kicks it back to Kavanagh. He's defended by Downey. And another shooting foul. Downey, the transgressor there, assessed with the personal foul.
And this might be a little bit of a a showing of what happened this morning with the fouls on the side of the Healers. They collected quite a few fouls in that first half, and that's really not a position that they want to get into. They know that their players are strong, but they can't risk pulling anyone off or lowering their points for it.
There's some frustration for Jake Kavanagh as that free throw attempt is astray again. Ben Moncrief has made his way back onto the floor for the Wheelcats in 25. He's lined up on the free throw line as Jake Kavanagh's second shot is good. 10-6. The Red Dust Healers leading the way here. The second of a 3-game set for these two teams in round 5 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League. Bezzetti switches hands, leans back in his chair. Fantastic offensive rebound. Kane Downey there with the long arms. Offensive board and the putback as Moncrief pushes ahead for the Wheelcats. Still the backcourt pressure persisting. Kavanagh switches hands, weaving his way towards the hoop. Bezzetti, strong rebound. Looking. He's found his running mate Tyndall again. It's another layup. He really is a passing magician.
That's exactly what the Healers want. They know that they've got everyone that can score. So if the Wheelcats even leave one person open, that's a score that they're going to lose.
Joel Swaddling on the floor in number 1 for the Wheelcats. It's a sketchy pass there. Managed to come off. Moncrief's got it. Tyndall's down. McHugh's up with his jumper. Lovely soft touch. There'll be a slight break in play as Jeremy Tyndall gets a hand up from Tom McHugh to get back into his chair.
And for anyone that's not too familiar with the sport, players do come out of their chairs. It's not something to worry about too much. It's just kind of what happens in the contact of the game. They play hard, they play fast.
And you can see all 10 players aware of that. Quite just almost waiting for the officials just to stop the game temporarily. There's the mid-range jumper from Mitchell Bond is up, it's off. Moncrief, the rebound, the push. He's sandwiched. And there's a consequent foul, which will be the 4th team foul this quarter for the Red Dust Healers. The next one will see them in the bonus. And the Wheelcats shooting 2 free throws. And Moncrief, a couple more running repairs there. Give Seth McCubbin official the okay. We're back underway. Moncrief probes left. The Corridge screen. Kavanagh has an optimistic look at a very long 3. Finds McHugh. His shot's in and out. Rebound pinballs around. Mitchell Bond gets hold of it. Tom McHugh with the reach in there.
Again, the speed of the Healers, knowing that they could backpick 2 players there, and then if that foul hadn't come through, it would have been a 5-on-3 for a good little bit of that shot clock. That's a dangerous position for the Wheelcats. They need to have all of their players in defense, so that back pick is going to be deadly for them if the Healers can stick on that back pick.
A couple of substitutes for the Wheelcats. Cooper Spillane on in 6. And Jake Kavanagh was off and on before he could blink.
It's the struggle with having to play with the classification system. You've always got to be doing the maths, and sometimes that means players coming on and off randomly.
Bezzetti's long 3 is off. McHugh, the comfortable rebound. Wheels around, the backcourt pressure still slowing things down for the Wheelcats, and in fact slowing it down enough to get an 8-second count.
And that 8-second violation really forced by one player playing up. That's concerning for the Wheelcats to be getting that kind of violation early in the game.
It almost caught them a little bit by surprise, but the backcourt pressure has been a constant theme right throughout this first quarter, which still has a couple of minutes to go. Bezzetti, fantastic flash inside. Be disappointed with that. That shot a little short front of the rim. McHugh the rebound. He looks to push. Plenty of traffic in the backcourt. He's managed to navigate that. Picked up by Bedzetti. Tries to keep his chair in front of him. Out to Cooper Spillane. Aligned the seams okay, just the shot a little short. Bond the rebound and the push. Finds almost a lane. Tyndall got himself right underneath the hoop. Had to try and come back with an arcing angle. Couldn't get it done. McHugh cut off again in the backcourt. Bedzetti's everywhere. They managed just to get... No, they don't manage just to get the ball into the front court. Another 8-second violation.
That's a really concerning position for them to be in, not being able to get someone across the court and then just kind of look up and to secure that pass at least to get it over. So we'll see if the Healers can hold on to that speed. They're using a lot of energy to hold them back. So
it's the Red Dust Healers 14, the Perth Wheelcats 8. Just a minute left, first quarter, round 5 action. From Corio Leisure Time Sports, it's the National Wheelchair Basketball League. Brought to you by the Beluga Foundation, under the auspices of Wheelchair Basketball Australia. As Tom McHugh sees his layup drift off. Bedzetti another rebound. Pushing again. Another no-look pass. That shot doesn't fall, but plenty of contact.
And that really goes to show the Healers kind of melding together really well as a team. We saw them obviously last season. They struggled a little bit on their first few games when they had the import from Italy coming in, and they just didn't know each other too well. But then to be able to secure a pass like that and get the shot up, and it was a pretty clean shot, really shows the connection that they've been able to build as this team.
Yeah, Mitchell Bond, the recipient of that pass from Sabri Bedzetti, makes the first free throw. And the second to push the margin out to 8. The Healers 16, the Wheelcats 8. Last minute of the first quarter. Jake Kavanagh with it, watching plenty of traffic go by. Picked up by Morridge. Finds Spillane on the wing. He pushes ahead. Looks, skip pass across. Phil Evans. Can't quite use the screen. Back to Spillane, drives baseline. Completely shut down by the long arms of Kane Downey. It's a kick ahead. Mitchell Bond with a languid layup.
I think that's exactly the energy that you want to end this quarter on. That long pass that was dead on.
As Ryan Morridge creates another turnover. Just 1.2 seconds left. Bedzetti launches his extended threes a little short, but a fantastic first quarter from the Healers. They find themselves 10-point leaders and scoring more points in one quarter than they managed in any quarter of this morning's game.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic showing for the Healers. Both offensively, obviously, they've collected up a lot more points and are shooting a lot better, 44% at the moment. But also on the defensive side, really shutting down the Wheelcats, not letting them get anything inside, certainly not anything for free, and even forcing those backcourt violations as well. Really playing for that time, playing that speed, and the Wheelcats are going to have to find a different way to get to the board, because what they're doing at the moment really isn't working for them.
Yeah, stylistically, you've mentioned a couple of times the backcourt pressure has enabled them to stop any transition at all from the Wheelcats. So they've been constantly under pressure to get the ball into the front court, have consequently been able to run very little half-court offense. And it seems like, as a result of the good half-court defense from the Red Dust Healers, they've been able to push transition at almost every opportunity. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's the way that the Healers want to play. They want to play in that transition. I mean, Bedzetti, obviously, he's a tall player. He can post up inside, but he's very, very fast. He's very explosive, and he looks for those layups and those fast passes. Obviously, that pass that went to Mitch Bond that led to those free throws. that's the kind of play style that they want to be able to run, and certainly they want to be able to expand this advantage now, because it's a hard style to run for the entire game. That will be the threat to them, is that potentially in the second half, do they have the energy to keep that going?
Yeah, the Wheelcats did substitute fairly liberally, Coach Ben Ettridge. Maybe looking for solutions, but you would imagine that their quarter-time huddle that we can see at the moment would be all about ball security, trying to inbound the ball more quickly, maybe some structural setup to break that pressure.
Yeah, I think they need to lock in a press breaker, get someone across the court just to receive that pass, get one of their tall players, because they do have very tall players that if a pass gets to their hands high in the sky, no one else can block it. No one's going to be able to stop them. But also, they've got to be able to secure under the basket. I mean, they're shooting 18% at the moment. They've got to be able to lock in for those shots. But when they do get themselves in the position and assume that they will get to that position, then they've got to be able to finish.
Yeah, 18% isn't going to get things done in very many basketball games at any level, anywhere. As we're underway second quarter, the Wheelcats in red with the ball. Moncrief driving baseline. Finds a bit of space for Mitchell Bond, the defensive rebound. The Wheelcats back in defensive alignment on this occasion as Bond looks. Down he cuts. Ball's deflected. And the officials have found a couple of touches there, and the ball will revert to the Wheelcats. Let's see what they come up with to beat this backcourt pressure now as the leads are denied. Long pass the way they've chosen to go on this time. The ball's kicked forward to McHugh. He's under pressure again. Perth coach Ettridge none too happy with the lack of a call there on some of the contact. McHugh guarded by Bedzetti. Morich on Moncrief. Moncrief kicks across. But Phil Evans' shot is a little long.
And the energy on the side of the Healers, I think, just stifling the Wheelcats a bit, just getting in their faces, getting aggressive.
Bedzetti just kept driving deeper and deeper and deeper there. His bank shot a little long. Tyndall secured the rebound. Came down, his shot's a little long. McHugh the rebound for Perth. Pushes forward, just loses the handle there momentarily. Kicks it across to Ben Moncrief. He wheels off a couple of screens, goes cross-court again to McHugh. He has time to line the seams up, but that's off. Tyndall the rebound. Finds Bond, back to Tyndall. Bedzetti sets a back pick in the middle of the court. Morich. Back to Bedzetti, thinks better of it and retreats. He's picked up by McHugh. Bond, his baseline shot is off. Moncrief the rebound. Ever-present pressure in the backcourt. McHugh, lovely pass to Evans. He's cut off, kicks it back. Moncrief uses the Evans screen, drives baseline. Evans rolls. His layup's off.
The Healers just going a little bit quiet here. That's if ever there was a point that the Wheelcats really want to get a score, it's now. Maybe break that morale a bit, just break that energy and get them back in.
14 seconds on the shot clock for the Wheelcats to operate here as ball goes into McHugh. He's right in the middle of the paint. Almost incredibly, given his previous accuracy, that's off. Bedzetti pushes, players everywhere, draws some contact. Finds a chair sandwich there.
That's a very smart play from Bedzetti, knowing that he probably couldn't have made it through that space, but neither defender was in position to get him there. So forcing, potentially even putting himself on the line, that he could have come flying through there, but knowing that the defenders would have to draw that foul or let him through, and they can't let him through.
A couple of substitutes in for Red Dust. It's Chithik Makar for his first minutes in 43. And Lachlan Dalton in 5. Comfortable inbound this time to Moncrief. Back to Evans. Evans probes using the screen from Moritz, who's on for the Wheelcats in 12. Kane Downey just a little overly enthusiastic there. As Ben Moncrief comes flying out of his chair again.
It's an interesting lineup that the Healers have got out at the moment. They have Bedzetti kind of running the play, being quite tall, but otherwise playing a lot of mid-pointers, playing that kind of speed. Obviously bring Chithik Machar in. He's got very long arms. He can post up inside, but really looking for more of those outside shots and forcing that fast play again.
Ooh. And the scoring drought's broken. 3-pointer there, courtesy of Jordan Moritz. The pass from an assist from Ben Moncrief. His first shot in the game. Moritz. Bond to Bedzetti. Leans back in his chair. Pump fakes back to Bond. Bond goes away from the screen from Downey. Lachlan Dalton with a nice snap pass to Bedzetti, but his shot is long. McHugh the rebound to Moncrief. Looking a little more comfortable getting out of the backcourt on the last couple of occasions, the Wheelcats. Moncrief playing a bit of trickery with the ball. Beautiful pass, and finds Jordan Moritz again, this time a layup from Moritz. All of a sudden the score's back to 18-13, and the Red Dust Healers struggling to score.
And that's a really interesting couple points to get there for the Wheelcats. They had two players that were being held back, both by Bedzetti, and they managed to beat the 3-on-4 and get points in. I think that's kind of an indication of them bring back their scoring, getting their energy back in a little bit, and obviously the scoring drought that's coming on the side of the Healers for this quarter is a little bit uncharacteristic of them, certainly of this game.
You mentioned the Healers changed their lineup just a couple of minutes ago, bringing on a couple of players from the bench who hadn't featured to date. It's quite a tricky situation, isn't it, for any wheelchair basketball coach? They have to stick within the parameters of their 14 points. Quite often your lead scorer will be one of your higher point players, in this case Bedzetti of 4, and trying to configure a lineup that will allow the proper defensive alignment but allow enough scoring opportunities, allowing for the fact that your star player is probably going to be closely guarded.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they know that they want to keep Bedzetti on, not only because he's a strong scorer, but he runs the plays. He runs the defense. You'll see him, if you focus on him a lot, he's pointing, he's calling out a lot of things. He really keeps the energy of the Healers up so that they know that they've got to keep him on. So they have to work with 4 other players that they can sub if they want to keep him in. Obviously, if he starts getting into foul trouble, that will be a concerning point for them. But with him on, he's really he's holding the ship together.
Well, thankfully, no foul trouble for him at the moment. As McCarr, maybe a set play out of that timeout, was almost left completely alone as he cut sideways into the middle of the key, and those long arms you mentioned enabled him to make a layup. The Red Dust Healers 20, the Perth Wheelcats 13. We're 4 minutes into the second quarter of this round 5 action of the Wheelchair National Basketball League, as Italian star Sabri Bedzetti pushes down the left-hand side of the floor for the home Red Dust Healers. Kicks it across to Lachlan Dalton, back to Bedzetti. Familiar pass fake. Mitchell Bond short with his shot again, just struggling to find his range this early stage. Evans for the Wheelcats to McHugh. Moncrief locates himself down to the baseline. Bedzetti swoops in with the defensive board. Lachlan Dalton doing a great job there, holding Moncrief in the backcourt. And not only is the shot off for Mitchell Bond, but he's been assessed as committing an offensive foul. clever chair positioning there from the Wheelcats defensively.
And that's the thing with a player like Mitch Bond. He's very light in his chair, so any of that contact is going to come through very obviously. So he's got to be very careful on those charges, especially when he's ball handling. It's he's going to show any of that contact very obviously.
Jake Kavanagh back on the floor along with Cooper Spillane for the Wheelcats as we see the third of tonight's 8-second backcourt violations. If anybody's unsure what that means, each team is allowed 8 seconds from the time they inbound the ball from the baseline to get the ball over the halfway line, and the Red Dust Healers making a real effort to try and deny easy access out of the backcourt for the Perth team tonight.
And the Wheelcats just getting a little bit fired up, even at each other there. I think Ben Moncrief was looking for a pass to make over, and none of his players turning up quite in time. And that's not what you want to see so early in this game. You don't want to see that kind of that attitude falling apart. Whereas on the side of the Healers, they're kind of running everything. They're pretty happy with their plays that they're running. Obviously, they've got the crowd behind them. They've got all the energy. So the Wheelcats really need to consolidate in themselves, and I think this is a good timeout to take. Just take a breather, kind of recollect themselves. They know that they can challenge this team. They beat them this morning, so this deficit is uncharacteristic of them, and it's certainly something that they could bring back.
So that timeout, which is just a 1 minute break in the game that either coach can request, they're allowed to request such timeout twice in the first half, 3 times in the second half. That's the first for Ben Ettridge, the head coach of the Perth Wheelcats, looking rather composed over there on the bench. The ball is in the front court for the Red Dust Healers in the black, orange and yellow uniforms. Ball being inbounded by Lachlan Dalton to Sabri Benzetti. Back to Dalton. Some contact inside. Dennis Campbell Message, who's just recently onto the floor in 16, ruefully shakes his hand. Might have got a caught in between two wheels there. He inbounds the ball to Benzetti. Kicks across to Dalton. Machar cutting through the middle of the key again, but this one expertly cut off by Ben Moncrief for Perth. Campbell Message managing to stay with him defensively. Cooper Spillane on the ball reversal to Evans. Back to Moncrief. Message still staying in front of him. Gets some assistance there. The ball pinballs away. But it's a shot clock violation. 24 seconds each team is allowed to get a shot up.
And I absolutely love the substitution that they've brought in Campbell Message on the side of the Healers. He was on top of Ben Moncrief that entire time. He's obviously been told to stick on his player, and that's forcing them to take outside shots and not even be able to put a shot up.
Lachlan Dalton didn't really have a passing lane there and decided to launch a three. It was short. The ball skips ahead. Fantastic pass. Absolutely fantastic pass. Phil Evans there. Found a cutting Spillane, who balanced himself expertly to make the layup. Red Dust Healers 20, Perth Wheelcats 15. Lachlan Dalton cutting through. Gets another Benzetti special pass and converts the layup.
The Healers have struggled a little bit from their outside shots, so it's good to see that they can line those up and show the Wheelcats they've got options outside as well.
Dalton, despite the height mismatch, cuts off Moncrief. The ball spills aside, and Evans is able to make a layup. Margin back to 5. Benzetti pushes forward for the Healers. Finds Dalton again. Open on the left wing. Back to Benzetti. Across to Message. He was looking past, but left completely alone. He decides to launch the mid-range shot from down low. It's off. Moncrief the rebound. Pushes ahead. Dalton gets in front of him. Moncrief wheels back around. Balances himself. And sweetly makes the mid-range shot.
And that's more like what you'd expect from the Wheelcats. getting Moncrief open in a position that he wants to shoot from rather than forcing him on those outside shots.
Scoring really dried up for the Red Dust Healers. Just 4 points in this almost 8 minutes of this second quarter. As Bedzetti's shot's a mile long. Evans finishes up with the rebound. Moncrief's running again. The backcourt pressure is completely dissolved. As we see three. Jake Kavanagh lurking on the right wing, took the skip pass to tie us up. 22 all, 2 minutes left. Bedzetti inside, expertly posting up, draws the contact and makes the layup.
I think if you're the Healers, you're wondering at what point, and actually it'll be exactly now, is when you start to rotate your players. Obviously, they brought some in for this second quarter. They looked very strong in the first, and they might need to return back to that core group that they had running at the first quarter.
Possibly head coach Brad Ness trying to get through some minutes, allowing for the fact that the style they played through the first quarter and a bit was and is extremely taxing, the full court pressure, and maybe it's a function of a necessity that he's going to have to go to his bench and maybe lose a little bit in terms of that ultra-aggressive defence. As Bedzetti makes the three-point play, pushes the margin out to 3. Spillane trying to post up, draws some contact. The contact from Jeremy Tyndall this time. Just the second team foul this quarter for the Red Dust Healers. Perth in red to inbound from the baseline. Evans kicks it into Spillane, who gets it back to Evans, back to Moncrief. He looks at 3, that's off to the right. Bedzetti's happy to let the ball spill out of bounds. Just 1 minute and 23 seconds remaining in this second quarter. Crucial round 5 clash, both these teams in the mix for the playoffs. As Campbell Message moves down the right hand. Morich moves down the right hand side, I beg your pardon. And kicks across to Campbell Message, who weaves in and out, is left open again. He goes for the glass. That shot's off. Moncrief the rebound. Message clipped in the backcourt. He's down. He'll be up in a second, but Moncrief continues. No look pass. Spillane the layup. In fact, the officials are going to stop for a second. Campbell Message gets a hand to get back up to his chair. The margin back to 1. Red Dust Healers 25. The Perth Wheelcats 24.
I think the Healers really need to look for a score here if they want to feel more confident coming into the second half. They've got to end like they did in that first quarter. Actually, that energy and kind of that strength.
Message to Bedzetti, another no-look pass. Tyndall to Message, left alone again. He drives baseline, shot clock running down. Downey's shot's off. Spillane the rebound. Finds an increasingly confident Moncrief. He's fouled by Tyndall. Ben Moncrief down again, but he's managed to get himself up. As we see the second timeout this half called by Perth. Head coach Ben Ettridge looks quite content over there. It's been a fantastic comeback in this quarter. 16-7, the score, the net score in this quarter.
It's very, very much what the Wheelcats have been looking for, and exactly what they would have been doing this morning. Certainly looking for their scoring. Their scoring is coming more through Jake Kavanagh and through a couple other players, which is I think exactly what they're looking for at the moment. They know that they don't really have the speed to get Tom McHugh and Ben Moncrief inside and get those shots that they're really looking for, but they have a couple other players that they can rely on. Cooper Spillane also looked very strong at the moment. Has a bit of that youth, that energy that can really put a bit of pressure on the Healers.
And here we are almost at half time. It's just 19.7 seconds remaining. There's about a 3-second differential Perth will have, or potentially the Red Dust will have. Perth have 16 seconds to operate out of this timeout. This is a hive of activity in the stadium. Some come and try activity planned for half time, and I know, Campbell, we can probably mention once the 16 seconds is done, that's been one of the features of the weekend down here at Corio Leisure Time Sports. The players in the National Wheelchair Basketball League getting involved, but anyway, the ball is back in bounds. Evans with it for Perth. He's left open, wheels around Moncrief, the ball spews away. Bezzetti is fouled, maybe cynically, by Moncrief. I think there'll be a discussion here. That would appear to be bordering on unsportsmanlike.
I think you could almost argue that the ball was in play. The ball was being contested. I'm not convinced that it would be an unsportsmanlike, but obviously I'm not a referee. There you go.
We all have our roles, Campbell, and it's good to see that consultation. The referee's just looking at their perspective from different points of view, and referee Kenji McFarlane has assessed that foul as unsportsmanlike, and what that means is that Sabri Bezzetti will, once this timeout, which has just been called, the last one this half available to Red Dust head coach Brad Ness, once play comes back, he will have 2 free throws, but then Red Dust will also get the ball back and a chance to finish up the last quarter without allowing Perth a chance to add to their total.
Yeah, and if they can get a couple scores here, that will really put them in the energy that they need to kind of lead them into that second half. Obviously, we know that they started this game a lot stronger than they're looking now, and Perth certainly started a lot weaker and have looked really, really strong here. And even though that is called an unsportsmanlike, and Ben Moncrief getting a little bit aggressive, I think it shows that they're fighting for it, if that makes sense. They're showing that they're not going to leave anything behind. They're not kind of getting complacent with the position that they've put themselves in. Perth are showing that they actually really do want to get that ball, and they're ready to hustle for it, even if that does get an unfortunate call on their side.
Okay, players back out on the floor. Sabri Bezzetti will attempt his 2 free throws. Nobody will line up in any of the lanes because the ball will automatically go back to the Healers as he makes the first. Bit of a dead spot on the floor there. He's bouncing the ball. Didn't affect him. Made the second. Maybe it's just the acoustics of the ball. Seem to be. Ryan Morridge gets us underway. Just 9 seconds and counting. Ball kicks back. Bezzetti, no look pass. Fantastic. Unfortunately, Jeremy Tyndall unable to use the backboard there and make the layup. Perth content for the time to run out. That would have been a highlight way to finish, but maybe the Red Dust Healers are at least happy to have stabilised a little bit, and they'll go in with a 3-point lead, 27-24. Yeah,
and I think certainly at least that they didn't give that up and let the Wheelcats score at the end of that. I think that would have been a little bit of a nail in the coffin for at least their energy on the side of the Healers. But they've managed to kind of consolidate, both teams shooting about 35%, so really not quite where they want to be. And obviously we know that both teams are capable of a lot stronger than that. So I think there'll be a lot coming in the second half.
So you can see on camera at the moment some of the halftime activity. Some of the spectators on a come and try exercise. They're just testing out their speed at the moment. And Campbell, you were saying that the Red Dust Healers conducted a clinic down here today.
Yeah, this morning they had a little bit of a clinic run. alongside Parallel Sports and McKillop Family Services. Just getting kind of the community involved in the game, showing what it looks like, and getting the name out, I guess, kind of showing that the sport's not something to be hidden behind closed doors. We've got the league running. It's a fantastic league, all of the sponsors behind it, and a lot of energy and community participation, which is really what the Healers are about. They're very community minded. They run programs on their off time, not as a basketball association, but just as community services, and it's something that's really core to their values.
And people may not know that wheelchair basketball is a game for anybody, and really there's a massive range of disabilities who the game would avail itself to, but also able-bodied participants are more than welcome. Yeah,
absolutely. There's a lot of community games that run that don't have as strict rules. Obviously, if you're an able-bodied person, you can't play internationally, but you're more than welcome to come down and support people. A lot of people will come down with family members who have disabilities and play alongside them to get that kind of community, so that you're not kind of throwing someone in the deep end. It's a really good thing, and even having the game out here in Geelong has quite a strong community side. A lot of players that play locally every week. It's a really important game, and not just for health and kind of fitness, but also that community side, getting people involved, getting people active, and growing that community.
Okay, well, we'll let the players conduct their, well, they were having a half-time talk. Perth still engaged in conversation there, and we will be back shortly with the second half.
passes that they missed. And then one just given up. So it's just yeah, message on the floor. I'm going to go for everything. And the fact that mechanics, Don was in none of so it's in the layout for I can't think of any one of the names. Well, the problem is that Sabri is not enough. I just think the outside, they don't really have somebody who's a nailed on perimeter shooter. Both came down to sitting in perimeter shooters. Like, they don't really have any perimeter shooters. Don't you think because they're young, it's a struggle at this level? No, they're not like, they're just not like, it's like, it's a little bit sort of had them where we wanted them before the time and now. So what's his name? I think they've gone on late Walmart side. Well, I think
Welcome back to Karaya Leisure Time Sports, here just east of Melbourne for this round 5 clash. We're at half time. The home Red Dust Healers, who do move around Victoria a little bit, they have multiple homes, are playing the Perth Wheelcats here tonight, the second of a 3-game set. Perth managed to win this morning's contest 56-46. The Red Dust Healers started out fantastically in the first quarter, had a 10-point lead, but that dissolved back to square, and they find themselves leading 27-24 as we move into the second half. My name's Brendan Parnell. I'm joined by Campbell Fraser. And Campbell, what do you make of all this?
Honestly, I think it's a it's a little bit of a loss from the Healers in that second quarter, as well as the Wheelcats really bringing in their kind of extra shooters. Moncrief and Tom McHugh not really shooting as well as you'd expect them to be, but they've had other players come up and kind of support them back in that. Whereas the Healers have almost had the reverse. They started really strong with their expected shooters, Bedzetti shooting very well in that first quarter, and then really falling out in that second quarter, trailing. I think it was 4 minutes before they were able to get a couple scores going, and really coming into this second half, it'll be a test of whether they can bring that back in, get kind of their outside shooters going. Kane Downey and Mitchell Bond both should be consistent outside shooters, but they're shooting 20% at the moment, both of them, versus on the side of the Wheelcats, Jake Kavanaugh and Tom McHugh coming in a little bit stronger to support. So I think it really comes down to that shooting percentage. Both teams just struggling a bit there with their expected shooters and trying to find alternatives.
And the stream you're watching is from round 5 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation and managed by Wheelchair Basketball Australia. And you can find this broadcast on YouTube where you're watching, on the website wba.net.au, on Instagram at Wheelchair Basketball Australia, Facebook Wheelchair Basketball Australia. As the play is underway, Red Dust Healers in the black, orange and yellow uniforms find the first basket, courtesy of Jeremy Kindle cutting down the middle to push their lead out to 5 points. As referee McFarlane finds a holding foul in the back court, in the front court. Tom McHugh on a lead there was cut off illegally. Perth in the red uniforms will inbound the ball. It's Ben Moncrief, he of the pink hair, using a screen from McHugh. Probing down the middle of the paint, back to McHugh. His favourite spot. He's off again. Kane Downey the rebound. Kicks ahead to Mitchell Bond. He probes, wheels around. Downey slices in front of him. Bezzetti with the underhand layup. Downey did a great job there to launch that shot as soon as he had hold of that offensive rebound. Sadly, oh no, the officials have agreed that he was shooting the ball. A little bit of uncertainty there.
These are kind of crucial points for the Healers to just get their energy going, start strong.
That first free throw's a little long. Gets a few supporting pats from his teammates. And swishes the second. Healers 30, the Wheelcats 24, and they find themselves in plenty of backcourt pressure. Ball's kicked ahead to Moncrief, takes a dribble, cut off, tries to get to the head. Jeremy Tyndall did a fantastic job there with just to get a fingertip on that and poke it away.
I think that's bringing back exactly what the Healers want to be able to do. They want to press that, put a little bit of energy in, and see if the Wheelcats can keep up speed.
Balls to Moncrief. He uses the Evans screen, drives baselines, cut off by Downey. Back to Evans. Kicks across to Moritz. His three-point attempt is blocked. McHugh, shot is a mile off. He complains that he was hit on the elbow. No relief forthcoming as Bezzetti zooms the other way. Bezzetti, it was Tyndall with the cut there. The pass was astray. McHugh expertly wheeling around, finds Moncrief. He was in a sea of defenders there, drew some contact, came out of his chair again, but found a way to make the shot go.
I think that's a little bit of a disappointing foul on the side of the Healers. That's it's a hard shot to take with three people trying to tap the ball out of your hands, and it's not really a necessary foul. I mean, if he hits those points, he hits those points. But you're in perfect defense. I don't think it was necessary.
Healers coach Brad Ness just getting some clarification from head official Kenji McFarlane. All done quite calmly as Ben Moncrief completes the three-point play. Tyndall with the ball for the Healers. Pushes down the left. Cuts middle. Almost a no-look pass. Mitchell Bond, although he looked like he was going to fall out of his chair, managed to just stabilise himself and get that one to fall.
Again, being that light, that's what it's going to look like.
Margin back to 5. Moncrief baseline, back to Moritz, finds McHugh, back to Moncrief, back to McHugh, cutting middle, lines it up, short again. Really, his radar's a little off tonight. Moritz wheels around. Moncrief gets hold of the ball, kicks inside. McHugh's arms came from nowhere there. He reached right across. And in fact, he's been assessed as pushing from behind. He's not happy, but he's got more things to worry about there in the backcourt as he reverses out of that traffic.
I think Bezzetti was ready to have a little bit of a conversation about that. Thought it was called on him.
Bezzetti to Moritz. Moritz to Bond. Back to Moritz. Open. Tyndall's definitely open. Kicks it back to Bezzetti. He wheels right and left. Shot clock goes down under 5. Moritz, his three's off. Bond makes a flailing attempt to keep that ball inbound, so we see more traffic at halfway. For the uninitiated, the sound of chairs running into each other and blocking and back picking, it's much more a part of wheelchair basketball than conventional basketball.
And I might actually curse it here, but also the sound of tyres popping. That does happen, and it's a scary thing when you're not ready for it, but it's not uncommon. But we haven't heard it tonight.
Let's hope that stays the way it is. There's McHugh. He just can't believe that none of those mid-range shots that he's so proficient at are not falling. Bedzetti kicks to Tyndall. Back to Morich, back to Bedzetti. Shot clock running down. He's a little long. McHugh the rebound. Finds Moncrief streaking ahead against a scattered defence. Uses the screen from Coric. Wheels back away to the top of the key. McHugh still being held in the backcourt by Bedzetti. Evans offensive rebound cuts. Moritz, a creative left-hand layup.
I wonder if it's worth it for the Healers to keep Bedzetti, forcing Tom McHugh out of that play, because Bedzetti really does control the defense. He's very confident, very loud, and that might be a little bit of a struggle for the Healers not having that.
Jeremy Tyndall, I don't think realised how open he was there. Tried to create an extra pass and turned it over.
Potentially just a little bit too far under the basket. It's a hard shot to make.
Some great chair dexterity there in the backcourt. Bedzetti is a whirling dervish. As Moncrief pushes ahead, McHugh wide open in a spot where surely he couldn't miss, but he did. Back to Evans, Moncrief. Moncrief wheels back around, comes up under the hoop, makes that shot to cut the margin back to 1. Red Dust Healers 32, Perth Wheelcats 31, as we pass the midway point of the third quarter of this round 5 action in the Wheelchair National Basketball League. Bond left wide open, calmly banks it in.
And that's what you need out of Mitch Bond. He's good from that angle. He hasn't been quite as confident as he usually is from that position, and finally getting something to land.
McHugh's cut off a long way from the hoop. Skips it back across to Moritz. To Moncrief. Shot clock running down. Bedzetti calls for some help as he's picked off. Skies for the rebound. A mile up out of his chair there, Bedzetti. Drives. He's thinking no look, I think. Can't find it. Goes back onto his left. Gesticulating wildly. Back to Bond. Shot clock down under 7. Bond can't get quite enough arc on that shot. It's off. Moncrief the rebound. He's cut off in the backcourt. Kicks ahead to Evans in the front court. Morich picks up Evans. Ball comes a little loose. Moritz is on the ground, up for grabs. Tyndall picks it up. Bedzetti scanning the floor. Wheels around. Morich thinks better of that layup attempt. Bedzetti. His pass is picked off by Moritz. Bedzetti moving backwards as fast as most people move forwards. Stays in front of McHugh. He makes a finger roll. Margin back to 1. Brad Ness, the Healers coach, with his head in his hands, calls it his first time out of the second half.
I think that's pretty indicative of how they're feeling at the moment. They're really just not finding what they're expecting to find, or what they usually can with those inside shots. Bedzetti going a little bit quiet here, and those outside shots also not really landing. Jeremy Tyndall really holding them together, getting a few points here. just to keep them afloat, just to keep that lead obviously just out to 1 point now. But it's really just been the show for the Wheelcats in this second half, and even obviously at the end of the second quarter, they're looking strong and they're relying on all of their players to kind of manage both offense and defense. Where the Healers look like they're starting to play a little bit solo. They're starting to play just a little bit of kind of individual man-to-man, and it's not really working for them. They're not relying on that communication. Obviously, Bedzetti getting a little bit heated, and potentially his role as kind of holding the team together falling apart a little bit as he's getting a little bit mad at other players, at the referees. We know he likes to argue a little bit. This is it's not uncommon for him. So I think he's going to kind of lock back in.
We could see him with youngster Mitch Bond there. And he has got a large role in the team, as you've explained. He's vastly experienced internationally, and part of the reason the Healers have him is to spread that knowledge around amongst what has a large number of young players, a team that has a large number of young players. One of whom, Mitch Bond, there kicks the ball back to Morich. Plays underway again. Bedzetti almost confused himself there. Sits back. That jumper's long. Moncrief, another rebound. Bedzetti cuts him off. Kicks ahead to Evans. Back to Spillane, who's on the floor. His pass has gone astray, but there's a foul, which may have caused that errant pass.
It's a really unfortunate foul to come through, because that was, up until that point, that was exactly what the Healers defense usually looks like. Really strong, really fast, and forcing those unnecessary errors, but just that little bit of contact coming through.
Bedzetti handing out some instructions as the Wheelcats inbound the ball. Jake Kavanagh to Ben Moncrief, back to Kavanagh. He looks at a three, that's long. Rebound spills away from Tyndall. A hand from Moncrief there assisting that dislodgement. Moncrief tries to go baseline, Bedzetti's there. Moncrief double pumps, kicks back to Spillane. Hail Mary pass. Moncrief comes again. His shot's off. Tyndall manages to get hold of that rebound. Outlet pass a little astray. Bond comes up with it, wheels round to the right, finds Bedzetti. He looks to draw the contact, but equally expertly, Jake Kavanagh avoids the contact, but Bedzetti makes the layup.
And that's exactly what you'd expect from the Healers. That fast transition. They don't want the Wheelcats to set up their defense. Just get inside, get the job done.
As Moncrief's bank shot is off, Bond streaks away with the rebound. The Healers holding a very slim 3-point lead. A fantastic interior pass there from Bond, threading the needle to Lachlan Dalton, who showed great hands there to be able to catch that and get it straight up on the glass. Moncrief to Spillane, skip pass to Kavanagh. He looks, goes back to his left. Spillane, his pass finds Moncrief. His shot's a little long. Kavanagh with the last touch as we see a traffic jam in the backcourt. Moncrief's not going anywhere. As the Healers inbound the ball. It's one of the fantastic sights of this sport. Bond streaks away. He's fouled. Phil Evans with the very unceremonious foul there.
And I think that's pretty clear of what they're feeling on the side of the Wheelcats, just getting a bit frustrated. It's very quickly turned to the Healers having a bit of a show game here, running exactly what they want to be able to do.
They leave Bond wide open again. Everybody content to go under those screens. But the long arms of Kane Downey get the offensive rebound and bank it home. Margin back out to 7.
I think the Wheelcats might have looked for that foul just to be able to set up their defense, and it worked for that outside shot, but they weren't prepared for the inside look, and Kane Downey just being calm and professional.
Spillane shots long, Bedzetti the rebound. And they can take the last shot of the quarter as the clock ticks down under 20 seconds. Bezzetti's aware of that. Comes middle. Downey across to Bond. He can't get that jumper to go, but time is going to beat the Wheelcats. And a flurry of a finish there from the Red Dust Healers sees them up by 7 again, 40-33 at three-quarter time.
That's exactly what I think I've been waiting to see from the Healers. We know that they've got that speed. They don't let their defense set up on the side of the Wheelcats. They just blow straight through, get inside, and get those points. And I think there was one play there where I can't remember who it was, but there was one player who broke through the defense because the defense didn't even have 1 second to set up. That's exactly what they want to do. That's emblematic of how they play. They don't want to set up those outside shots. Obviously, the outside shots would usually hit a bit stronger than they are tonight. But even so, they don't want to force those outside shots if they can get a quick layup and confuse the defense and then get them a little bit angry. We saw that foul come through that really wasn't necessary, but the Wheelcats just getting a little bit frustrated.
So that lineup they had on at the end there was Sabri Bezzetti doing a bit of everything, as he does, but very similar to the lineup they had when they established the lead early on. Youngsters Kane Downey and Mitchell Bond. They had Lachlan Dalton, who wasn't on at the start, but was on there as a contributor, and Jeremy Tyndall, who plays the low point role, the 1.5 role, very expertly. Maybe it's still a situation of trying to figure out what lineup plays that style of pressing transition basketball best.
Yeah, and I think it's not even necessarily relying on the physical strength of the players to be able to do that. I think all of them on the side of the Healers can do that, but certain players have that killer instinct. Jeremy Tyndall absolutely has that killer instinct. He'll put his body on the line, and I think just having him on and a couple other players just to get that energy and kind of fire through rather than, okay, we kick it out and look for outside shots and kind of pulling back a little bit. He shows no restraint, and I think it's exactly what they need.
And in fact, as we start the fourth quarter, the Healers have gone back to that exact lineup. For the Wheelcats, it's Jake Evans to inbound. Tom McHugh's back. Ben Moncrief has played most of the game. Jordan Moritz starting on the far side of the floor. And Simon Corrich as Moncrief comes down out of his chair again. Perth players appealing for some sort of foul. It's not forthcoming. As Sabri Bezzetti comes over to lend a hand and give an encouraging hand on the shoulder of Ben Moncrief. As you're still asking for some clarification from referee McFarlane on exactly what he thought of that contact. The ball's in anyway. Tom McHugh back to Evans. Moncrief thinks about a three, thinks better of it, drives baseline. Bezzetti cuts off that. Moritz back to Moncrief. He's now going to go three. It's short. Evans snaps around to get the rebound and finds Moncrief cutting again. Mitchell Bond with the ball. Back to Lachlan Dalton. He drives right. He's left wide open. His shot short. Tom McHugh with the long arms takes that rebound away from Kane Downey. Finds Moncrief is cut off by Tyndall. Moritz all alone in the front court. Players stream forward. Shot clock quickly goes under 10. Looking a little disorganised, the Wheelcats. Evans may have to launch this. It comes up with just fresh air.
Again, that Healers defense being man-to-man, playing hard and fast, that's it's just too threatening for the Wheelcats at the moment.
Bezzetti got himself right down to the hoop, and with that shot just didn't manage to figure out whether he was going off the glass or going straight in. And he lets the referee know that he's the one who's committed that hands foul there. The Red Dust Healers 40. The Perth Wheelcats in the red 35. Wheelcats to inbound the ball. Plenty of activity in the backcourt. Denial. Long hook pass out to McHugh. Press breaker run expertly. Jordan Moritz thinks better of it. Kicks it back to McHugh. McHugh looks half a lane there. Gets the ball back. Bezzetti cuts him off. Holds it at a distance. He finds Simon Corrich, who gets it just to run over the front of the rim.
The Wheelcats looking pretty slow on that offense, really just kind of sitting around trying to find a shot, but not really making the defense work for them.
Lachlan Dalton down the right finds Bezzetti. They really need something from him now. His shot's a little short. He manages to wheel in the offensive rebound. And there's a stop in play. Referee McFarlane just doing a little bit of explaining there. The players seem quite happy with that explanation. Play will recommence 12 seconds for the Healers to operate. Lachlan Dalton gets the long inbound pass back to the inbounder Bond. Bond finds Dalton wide open. His jumper's good. Jumper in the sense that he was up at maximum extension out of his chair there.
And that's exactly what the Healers need. Need to have those outside shots. Obviously, Lockie Dalton bringing in just a little bit more of that energy.
It's Mitch Bond. Commits a aggressive foul there. Trying to deny that pass into the front court.
That'll be his 4th foul. That's not really the position that he wants to be in. They need to be able to keep him on at the moment, and it looks like they will.
Brad Ness doesn't look like he's even breathing over there on the bench. He's clearly not worried about the 4 fouls. Or maybe it is, but he's not showing it. As Moritz gets an offensive rebound, has it poked away. Downey, no-look pass. Dalton streaking ahead, makes the layup.
I think that's been a really valuable substitution to bring Lockie Dalton in. He brings so much on the side of the defense. He's very quick, but also to be able to get those layups and secure those points.
As Moncrief looks at 3, that's short. Deflected out of bounds by Corrich. Bezzetti looking to go as quickly as possible, asking for the official, can I get the ball, can I get the ball? Inbounds, gets it back, streaking away. Moncrief trapped in the backcourt. No look pass, maybe one pass too many.
Yeah, I think that wasn't really something that they needed to do. They, again, just that energy kind of pulled back a little bit, and they went, okay, what are our outside shot options? Bezzetti can take that inside shot. I'd be comfortable putting that in if I was their coach. Take that shot inside every day.
Bezzetti way up out of his chair to knock that one away, and there's some backcourt pressure again. Just 2 seconds remaining for Perth. This will undoubtedly be some sort of baseball pass. Jake Evans getting ready, or Phil Evans getting ready to do the honours. Bezzetti's there. McHugh does well. It seemed to get that ball, but he's committed an offensive foul.
Yeah, I think he's just come in a little bit too quickly behind Bezzetti. Bezzetti was set in his position, looking to catch it, and he's just come right through, almost trying to take a mark up behind him.
We've got a touch over 6 minutes remaining. It's the Red Dust Healers looking to even this 3-game series at 1-1, leading 44 to the Wheelcats 37 as Tom McHugh gets whacked across the head. And Ben Ettridge, who's been running a little commentary over there, has had enough. And the referee has decided that he's had enough. And there's a bench technical foul. So there was the personal foul committed on Tom McHugh. And somebody has said something, and the officials have determined that they have had enough. And
that's an interesting time to have gotten that foul. I mean, the foul was going in their favour. Just that tap on the head. I think the Wheelcats would have been in a pretty happy position, but obviously something's been said on the sidelines and it's been caught.
Lachlan Dalton can't secure the point from the free throw line, so the ball will go back to Perth. No damage done, apart from the fact that if the coach were to get another technical foul, he would have to leave the stadium.
A little bit of loss of pride there, maybe.
Moncrief weaving his way into the front court. Players and chairs everywhere. Moncrief balances himself and makes a little mid-range shot. Margin back to 5. Dalton to Bond, back to Bezzetti. He looks at the shot clock, kicks it back to Dalton. Bond shots off again. McHugh the rebound. Evans is pushed ahead. Expertly catches a pass that was pinpoint perfect.
That's a fantastic little play for the Wheelcats, showing that they can actually play that transition. Ooh.
Bezzetti saw a lane. He realised his team needed something there. It was a very conscious move to take it himself. Drew the contact. Heaved up a circus shot, but he will go to the free throw line. Just adjusting his equipment. He looks as mystified as everybody that free throw barely touched the front of the rim.
A little bit too focused on the form and not the strength.
Second one is a swish. It's the Healers 45, the Wheelcats from Perth 41. Phil Evans finds Moncrief inside, great cut. Finishes, margin back to 2. You feel the Healers just hanging on as the clock ticks under 5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Bezzetti, unguarded, makes his way down to the free throw line, gets it back. Bond had the give and go set up there with Downey, but the pass was a little short. Wheelcats with a chance to tie things up. McHugh does a 7:20 there. Fantastic chair control. Finds Moncrief inside. Moncrief looks, rolling backwards. Never really seemed to have the balance there.
I think that's a very hard shot to take. If you wait too long, you're still rolling back. You're still rolling back. It was essentially a free throw at that point.
He must have moved back 3 meters there. Ball back to the Healers. Bond left open again, unsure what to do. Back to Dalton, another short shot, some nervous attempts here. We're down to the business end, under 4 minutes remaining. It's a 2-point game. 45-43, the Healers. Moncrief drives, cut off. Offensive foul. Healers did a great job setting up defensively there.
You could see the referee looking at that line, seeing it, almost foreseeing that play and being ready to call that instantly. It was he was staring that down.
As the Healers trap Moncrief in the backcourt again and push forward. Dalton, Bezzetti, layup. Using the extra man superbly there.
He's so tall. He sits high. He's got long arms, but you forget how agile he is on Bezzetti.
Evans pushes forward, maybe gets the better of Bond, decides against it, wheels back around. Moncrief, cut off by Bond, tries to go baseline, no gap there. Finds McHugh, he draws some contact. I think he knew he'd drawn that contact and just heaved up a hopeful shot. But he will go to the free throw line.
Heelers getting in a little bit of foul trouble here. They don't want to collect that last one too quickly.
Yeah, that was their fourth. So any subsequent fouls from here on in will automatically grant 2 free throws to Perth. As Tom McHugh's temporary shooting woes continue, this is the first of these 2 free throws. Second one's long. Perth deciding not to line up anybody in the free throw lane there. McHugh's kept in the backcourt. Bedzetti moves forward. Looks at Tyndall. Wheels back onto his left. He's going to make it happen by himself. Goes the finger roll. He really had some English on that shot.
You could almost count those points towards Tyndall setting up that pick and leaning into the seal, and Bedzetti just following through, getting the easy line.
Some contact there. Officials just stopping play. Just going to have a short consultation. I think the shot clock may not have started there.
Coach Brad Ness finally getting up and getting a bit animated in these last couple of minutes. I think he not quite sure what was happening there.
Shot clock showing 22 and the ball had come into the front court, so I'm thinking they will make an estimation of what they last saw. They'll go to the score table will make that adjustment. There's just 2 minutes and 47 seconds standing between the Red Dust Healers, who are 49, and the Perth Wheelcats, who are 43. This game coming to you courtesy of Wheelchair Basketball Australia. It's the National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation. We're at the Cryo Leisure Time Sports facility. Tom McHugh finds that soft touch, which has been missing for most of tonight.
And if any time to bring it back in, this would be it. Only a couple points in it.
Bond. The Wheelcats again going under the screen. Ball's deflected away. 9 seconds on the shot clock for the Healers to operate. Dalton takes the long inbound. Screen from Tyndall, looks at 3. It's off. Evans the rebound, and McHugh, he's thinking, can we get this ball ahead quickly? Moncrief, a great one-handed catch. Players whizzing in and out to try and cut off his line to the basket. It's a 4-point game here. Pick and roll. Incredibly, that shot from Jordan Moritz bobbles out. Bedzetti to the front court. He's happy to run a little bit of time now. Back to Dalton. He drives baseline. Left open. Uses the glass. That is a big mid-range shot.
And those are vital points now. The Healers really need to slow down this offense. That's one way to do it.
But that will see McHugh go to the free throw line, being the 5th team foul this quarter. And in fact, Coach Brad Ness decides that he will call a timeout. He's got 3 available, and have a discussion about how they hold this 6-point lead with just 85 seconds remaining.
I think they've got to rely on what they were able to do a couple times here, which is really drain that clock when they're in defense. Force the Wheelcats to keep passing. Look at their options and throw up a shot that they're not too happy with. They've done it a couple times and they've been able to get it down to 5 seconds, and then they take a shot. If they can do that a couple times here, they might be able to hold on to that lead, especially if they can force the Wheelcats to get into some players that they don't want shooting necessarily, and see if Ben Moncrief and Tom McHugh can keep up that shooting that they've really unlocked in the last couple of minutes here.
In fact, that was the second timeout in the second half for the Healers. They'll still have 1 available to them in the chess match that inevitably seems to ensue at this stage of tight contests.
I think that might be. I think Coach Brad Ness might have been reluctant to call that timeout, wanting to hold on to them in case he needs to advance the ball. But knowing that he needs to kind of talk to his team, just get them calmed down a little bit. Obviously, they're in foul trouble now, so they want to keep this last minute and a half in.
Yeah, I think that one might be in the psychological category of timeouts. As Tom McHugh is disgusted with himself at missing that first free throw.
McHugh only with 6 points at the moment, and I think that might have all come in this last quarter potentially.
For a man who's averaging a little over 18 on the season, it's astonishing. And straight away, Ben Ettridge, the head coach of the Perth Wheelcats, decides that he will call a timeout.
I think they might be looking at what plays that they can organise in this last minute and a half just to get some more shots up. Obviously, they know if they can draw fouls, they'll immediately go to the line. So potentially looking at also what their play is off those free throws. Thinking if they want to take those shots and get points like that, or whether they want to look for a rebound and get an inside shot as well.
So both teams have one timeout remaining. For the Wheelcats, they've committed 3 team fouls, so they would need to foul twice more to force Red Dust to the line, which I imagine is something they'd be talking about potentially somewhere in the next minute and 25 seconds having to foul. Well, I was going to say deliberately, but to commit a foul in the act of trying to steal the ball and try in some manner to control the flow of the game in these last 85 seconds.
And I think that's been their struggle this entire game. Obviously, they had a very, very different game this morning, but they look like they just haven't been able to control the flow. It's been the Heels really running the flow, or the flow getting away from both teams and kind of falling by the wayside and it being a little bit scrappy, but the Wheelcats haven't looked like they've been able to lock that in.
It's interesting, the Wheelcats happy to sit back. Bond kicks the ball back to Dalton. Bezzetti cuts middle, layup's good. Surprising to see them with no backcourt pressure out of that timeout, but that was the strategy they opted for. So the ball comes into McHugh, and that's an unfortunate foul.
I think that's a difficult call to make, especially with someone like Tom McHugh. He knows when he's got a little bit of contact on him, and he knows how to make it very obvious to the referees. So
Mitchell Bond looks up and sees the dreaded red 5 paddle held up by the score table. He's fouled out. Certainly been a key contributor. His shooting is probably not what he might have wanted tonight, but certainly contributing a plethora of other ways. As Tom McHugh, courtesy of being fouled in the backcourt, will go back to the free throw line. This time he's good with the first. That cuts the margin to 6. And they have a chance to cut it to 5 now, which he does. 53-48. A minute and 9 seconds remaining. Lachlan Dalton pushes the ball out of the backcourt. Again, the Wheelcats happy to sit back. Lachlan Dalton left completely unguarded there. Bezzetti pops out. He'll try and create something. But before he can do that, there's a foul. Tom McHugh copped one on the arm there by the looks of things.
And I think if you're the Wheelcats, if you were planning on making that foul, whether it was in quote unquote intentional or not, I think you would have done it earlier. They've gotten down quite a few seconds in this shot clock that really they didn't need to waste if they were going to make that foul.
The ball's inbounded to Bezzetti. Again, they're happy to let them run some clock. They have 14 seconds here. Back to Dalton. Shot clock dribbles down under 5. It's with Campbell Message. He's going to have to launch something. That's off the side of the backboard. Didn't really have a lot of opportunity to prepare there. 34 seconds remaining. Wheelcats with the ball in the backcourt, as Perth will take their last timeout. But one advantage is this will allow them to advance the ball to the front court. They've got to find a way to score Well, at least twice.
Yeah, and you imagine they will advance it here, look for a 3, and potentially look for a foul on that. Obviously, we know that the Healers know the position they're in. Potentially, they won't even look to protect that 3 and let them take it. They haven't been too consistent on the threes rather, especially with Jake Kavanaugh not being on. He's generally their 3-point shooter, so potentially he'll come on just to try and make that shot. But otherwise, it could be the Healers just looking to collect a rebound and hold on to it for dear life.
Yeah, there's quite often the strategy in these situations that you take the first good shot, whatever it is. Undoubtedly, there's probably a plan being drawn up for the ideal shot by Perth, but yeah.
And I think it's been a game of unideal shots. I think all of the ideal shots really haven't been going the way either team wants them to. So it's been who can score at any point, who can get into a position, even if we don't necessarily think their percentage is that high. Just put something up and try and get those points rolling. Obviously, that's why we see a score that isn't particularly high or isn't as high as some of the games in the league have been.
Okay, 34 seconds remaining. It's Perth to inbound the ball. Tom McHugh will do that. They trail by 5. Ball's into Moritz. Back to McHugh. He skips it across to Moncrief. Guarded by Dalton. Doing a great job staying in front of him. Dalton again. Evans on the roll. He's fouled. And he makes the layup go. Poor Jeremy Tyndall there just got caught, sealed off.
I think that's a difficult position to be in. I think Tyndall was, or at least felt like he was sitting there pretty comfortable, not doing too much, and somehow the foul's still coming through.
So plenty going on there. That, in fact, is Jeremy Tyndall's 5th foul. He's going to have to stay on the bench. A substitution for head coach of the Healers, Brad Ness, to make, as he's called his last time out. So this will be the last 1-minute break in the game. 1 free throw to come, a chance to get the margin back to 2, and that's where the strategy gets a little more complex.
Yeah, it's the least desirable position to be in, to be taking this free throw. Do you just go to make that point, or do you try and get a rebound, try and put that shot up, knowing that they're in foul trouble again? If you do manage to get the rebound, they might foul you again, put you on the line again. It's almost impossible. I
think mathematically you have to take the point, and then whatever your strategy is from there. But given that there is under 24 seconds remaining, they're going to have to steal or foul. And I guess it's a question of how soon they choose to do that. And it's one thing to explain to 5 people going onto the court to play a game about what we'd like to do, and another thing entirely sometimes for those 5 players to execute the desired strategy, which is the beauty of the game.
I think the struggle will be here if they do let the shot go and it goes in. The Wheelcats haven't looked that strong in playing that high press and kind of controlling the speed. Obviously, we know there's a lot of speed on the side of the Healers, so it's going to be a difficult play.
And they've chosen not to put any defenders on the free throw line. As Phil Evans takes this free throw, it's in fact off. Downey the rebound. He's fouled straight away. He will roll his chair down to the other end of the floor and be the recipient of 2 free throws. Timeouts have all been used. Players are fouling out with abandon.
You can see players, especially on the Healers side, looking a little bit panicked, looking pretty stressed out. Obviously, they want to get this win. As we said earlier, it's very important games here for both of these teams to kind of settle the mid pack of the ladder at the moment.
Yeah, in fact, the ladder, we look after some of the results already this weekend. The Salties from Darwin, the reigning champions, sitting at 10 wins and 1 loss. The Wollongong Rollerhawks, the team they defeated in the grand final last year, are sitting at 8 wins and 2 losses. And then there's 3 teams all jammed in together: Manly, the Red Dust Healers, and Perth. battling for those last 2 spots, it would seem. As Kane Downey misses that one, he just needs one of these 2 to at least push it out to a 2-score game. 18 seconds left. It's 53-50. Gets the nice soft roll on the second one to push the margin out to 4. Perth, no timeouts available. Quick inbound. And there's a whole lot of things going on there. There was a whistle for a foul in the front court. But I think the Perth coaching staff thought there hadn't been a foul called. And they were remonstrating, and they've been issued another technical foul. So Lachlan Dalton will now take 1 free throw for the bench technical foul. And he swishes that to push the score out to 5. And now we'll go down to the other end. Ben Moncrief was the player fouled, and he will take 2 free throws.
It's not too often that you see free throws from both teams happening almost simultaneously.
It may be fortunate that the Perth coaching staff, I think that was the second bench tech, maybe there was some complicating factor there as the Healers are arguing about who's going to line up where. The timeouts are done. There's quite a bit of conversation going on. It's Ben Moncrief calmly. So the game is well and truly alive with 15.9 seconds remaining. He swishes the second. He's had a great night, really.
I don't envy the position of any of these players at the moment. There's really no telling who it'll go for.
Ball's into Dalton. A very professional foul there from Simon Corridge, playing at the ball. Took a piece of Lachlan Dalton's arm. He rolls down to the free throw line.
I think this could be the longest 13 seconds that you might experience in a basketball game.
Apart from the technical fouls, Perth doing everything they can do. Lachlan Dalton demonstrates why he's been taking the technical foul shots all night to push their lead out to 4. And make it 5.
And you could see there Bezzetti not even moving, trusting his player to hit that shot.
McHugh has it knocked away. It's been a frustrating evening for him. Just 6 seconds now. You'd think the Red Dust Healers are home, barring some very extraordinary circumstances. Moncrief inbounds. McHugh looks at 3. Swishes it. Still 3 seconds left. That cuts the margin to just 2. A momentary heart flutter for the Healers. Can they get the ball inbound? They can. Dalton is fouled with 1.3 seconds remaining.
I think at that point you almost, the foul is kind of inconsequential with 1.3 seconds. That's almost not enough time to put up a shot regardless of what happens here. And if he hits both of these, it wouldn't matter.
Anyway, from the Red Dust Healers' point of view, they've got the right guy at the free throw line based on tonight's evidence. He's looked very calm, and he's got a lovely process. The deep breath.
Can't release the shoulders yet.
One more chance to seal away the win. Same process to the cheers of the crowd. Ball comes in. It's not going to touch anybody. They're going to go way back to the baseline to inbound with a second left. This is the game that refuses to end.
I think we've sat here in the last 13 seconds for about 5 minutes. But you know what? I'm not too unhappy about that. It's been a fantastic game from both sides.
Perth have done it by the book, and yeah, two very evenly matched teams. As the ball inbounds, Lachlan Dalton's content to hold it. And that will put the cap on a fantastic game of wheelchair basketball in the National Wheelchair Basketball League. It's the Red Dust Healers 58, the Perth Wheelcats 55. They split the first two games, all to play for tomorrow, Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely. And really showing both the strength and the weaknesses of, I think, both teams here. Obviously, the Healers really relying on a couple players that they're not used to using as much. Lockie Dalton and Jeremy Tyndall both being really strong players here, and I think, as you were saying, putting Lockie Dalton at the line is a dangerous thing for the Wheelcats to do, and I think that might be something that they use tomorrow in their last game to remember that and not wanting to send him to the line, maybe picking someone else.
We mentioned about the standings. That pushes Perth to 8 wins and 6 losses. They've got still a bye remaining over the last 2 rounds. And for the Healers, they're sitting at 7 and 4. So I can't wrap my head around the mathematical possibilities. You also got the Manly Wheel Eagles sitting at 5 and 7, who are having on the bye this weekend, who will be desperate to find a way into the finals, which they're hosting later in August.
Yeah, it's a really good showing of the league. The fact that there are so many teams in that middle pack, obviously it's a difficult position to be in, but it does show that there's a lot of balance and a lot of competitiveness in that little section.
Okay, well, that's all we've got from you from the Correa Leisure Time Sports Complex. On behalf of Campbell Fraser, I'm Brendan Parnell signing off, and we will see you for some games, hopefully in round 6 of the National Wheelchair Basketball League.